If you ever ask my students or their parents to describe me, they'd probably use words like dedicated, organized, maybe even inspiring on a good day. I pour everything into my classroom, the elaborate experiments, the way I memorize every student's learning style, the extra hours I spend preparing lessons that actually make photosynthesis exciting. When this story took place, I thought I knew Justin better than anyone. After 5 years together, I believed there were no secrets left between us. I was wrong. He was always there for me, made me smile, made me laugh, in a way that felt effortless. The night I opened our bedroom door and saw him standing there in a lace nightgown, everything I thought I understood about the man I loved shattered. What would you do if you discovered the person you love had been living a secret life right in front of you? Not an affair. Not a lie about money or family. Something deeper. Something they'd been hiding since before you even met. My name is Megan. 27 years old, 6th grade science teacher at Gender Diary Private Academy. This is my story. The story of one unexpected moment that changed everything. And it starts months before that night, in the seemingly ordinary life I thought we were building together. Justin was a constant in my world. We'd been together for over 5 years. It all started at a friend's barbecue event, one of those rare social events I actually enjoyed because he was there. Our relationship was solid. That's the word I always used. Solid. Stable. We had our routines. Friday movie nights, Sunday morning farmers market runs, the way he'd leave post-it notes on the coffee maker with terrible science puns just to make me smile. You're sodium fine, one would say. Or, are you made of copper and tellurium? Because you're cute. He was supportive. He was reliable in ways that mattered. He remembered the small things that I needed. Safe. That's another word I used. Justin felt safe. If you love heartfelt stories about discovery, transformation, and love, please hit subscribe and join the Gender Diary family. We're on our way to reaching our next big milestone. And every single subscriber helps us share even more powerful stories like this one. It started with the bathroom. Justin had always been quick with his evening routine. Shower, brush teeth, 10 minutes maximum, so I've always thought, probably I wasn't noticing. But sometime around March, I noticed he was taking longer. 15 minutes became 20, then 25. I'd hear the water running, then silence, then the faint sounds of movement. One evening, I knocked on the door. You okay in there? His response came too quickly. Yeah, fine, just tired, taking my time. I shrugged it off. We were both stressed. Me with state testing season approaching, him with a major project at work. People need extra decompression time. It made sense. Then came the perfume incident. I hugged Justin one morning before leaving for work, and I caught it, the faint scent of my perfume. Not the smell you'd get from proximity or from touching a bottle. This was the smell of it actually worn, settled into fabric and skin. I smiled, asked him about it. Every explanation made sense individually. But together, they formed a pattern I couldn't quite identify. It was plausible. I let it go. But the moment stuck with me in a way I couldn't quite explain. 2 weeks later, I found a receipt. I was looking for my shopping list in the kitchen junk drawer when I came across a crumpled piece of paper from Nordstrom. The date was recent, just 3 days earlier. The item description read, women's sleepwear, with a price that made my eyebrows rise, over $100. My first thought was excitement. Was Justin planning to surprise me? It wasn't my birthday or anniversary, but maybe he'd seen something beautiful and wanted to treat me. The romantic gesture would be so like him. But then I realized I hadn't received any gift. I'd checked my closet, my drawers. Nothing new had appeared. I considered asking him about it, but something held me back. Maybe it was still hidden, waiting for the right moment. Maybe I'd ruin the surprise. So I carefully placed the receipt back where I'd found it and said nothing. My students and I had started a unit on observation and hypothesis in science class. We talked about how scientists notice patterns, ask questions, and resist jumping to conclusions without evidence. I was teaching them to be curious, to investigate rather than assume. I wasn't applying those same principles to my own life. In my mind, I was creating explanations that fit my comfortable worldview. Justin was stressed about work. He was planning surprises. He was tired. He was going through something he wasn't ready to talk about yet, but he would when he was ready. Because that's what people in solid, stable relationships do. They work through things eventually. I told myself that whatever was happening, it wasn't serious. It couldn't be serious. Not in our relationship. Not with Justin, who I knew so completely. I was so confident in my understanding of the man I loved. I was also so completely wrong. It was a Thursday in late April. I remember because Thursdays were always my longest days at school. Back-to-back classes, lunch duty, then after-school science club. That particular Thursday, we had a teacher conference meeting scheduled for 6 o'clock. I'd been mentally preparing myself for another hour of curriculum discussions and administrative updates, already planning to grab takeout on the way home around 8. At 5:30, an email came through. The meeting was canceled. Some issue with the conference room booking, something technical and unimportant. The point was, I was suddenly free. I felt that little lift of unexpected joy, the gift of found time. I texted Justin, meeting canceled. Home by 6:30. Want me to pick up dinner? No response, but that wasn't unusual. He often got absorbed in work. I packed up my classroom, said goodbye to the janitor who was already emptying trash cans, and drove home with the windows down, letting the spring air wash away the accumulated stress of the day. Our apartment was on the 3rd floor of a converted brownstone. The building had those beautiful old hardwood floors that creaked in specific spots I'd learned to identify. The 3rd step on the staircase, the spot right outside our door, the threshold between the living room and hallway. I climbed the stairs, keys in hand, thinking about whether we should order Thai or Chinese food. The door was unlocked. Justin was home. Justin? I called out as I entered. No answer. I set my bag down on the entryway table, kicked off my shoes. The apartment was quiet, but there was light coming from the bedroom. The door was mostly closed, just a crack of warm lamplight showing through. My first thought was that he'd fallen asleep. It had happened before. He'd lie down for a quick rest after work and sleep through his alarm. I walked down the short hallway, those familiar floorboards creaking under my feet. I pushed the bedroom door open and froze. Justin was standing in front of our full-length mirror. His back was partially to me, his face in profile as he looked at his reflection. And he was wearing a nightgown. Not just any nightgown. It was beautiful. A flowing piece in deep burgundy lace with delicate satin trim. The fabric caught the lamplight, creating soft shadows across its surface. The hem fell to mid-thigh, the neckline was elegant, the straps thin and graceful. He was adjusting one of those straps, his fingers careful and gentle. His expression was the thing that struck me most. It wasn't shame or guilt in that first moment before he realized I was there. It was something else entirely. Peace, maybe. Or recognition. Like he was looking at himself and finally seeing something that made sense. Time did the things it does best in shocking moments. It stretched and compressed simultaneously. I saw everything in sharp detail. The way the nightgown moved as he shifted his weight, the slight smile on his face, the relaxed set of his shoulders. But I also couldn't process any of it, couldn't organize the information my eyes were sending to my brain into any kind of coherent understanding. Then he saw me. His head turned, his eyes met mine in the mirror's reflection, and I watched that peaceful expression shatter. Subscribe now, because this is where the story truly begins. His face went pale, then flushed deep red. His hand froze on the strap. His whole body seemed to lock in place, like if he stayed perfectly still, maybe I would disappear, maybe this wouldn't be happening. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I was aware of my heart hammering in my chest, of my hand still on the doorknob, of my mouth hanging slightly open. The silence lasted forever and no time at all. 1,000 thoughts ran through my mind. This couldn't be real. This was real. Who was this person? This was Justin. Was he having an affair? This was our bedroom. Was this some kind of joke? The expression on his face said it wasn't a joke. What was happening? What did this mean? Who was he? Megan! His voice cracked when he said my name. He turned from the mirror to face me directly, and I could see his hand shaking. Megan, he stopped. What could he possibly say? What words existed for this moment? I realized I was still standing in the doorway, still frozen. I forced myself to move, to step back, and the movement broke something loose in my throat. What? My voice didn't sound like my own. What are you doing? It was such an inadequate question, obvious and impossible to answer. But it was all I could manage. Justin's face crumpled. He looked down at himself, at the nightgown, and I saw him make a decision. Instead of trying to hide, instead of rushing to take it off or explain it away, he just stood there, visible, vulnerable. I'm sorry, he whispered. Megan, I'm so sorry. I never wanted you to find out like this. Find out. Those words echoed in my head. Find out implied something ongoing, something hidden with intention. This wasn't a one-time thing. This wasn't a strange impulse or a mistake. This was a secret that had been living in our home, in our relationship, possibly for all 5 years we'd been together. I backed into the hallway, my hand finding the wall to steady myself. I needed space. I needed air. I needed to think. Megan, please. Justin started to move toward me, then stopped, seeming to realize that approaching me right now, dressed as he was, might not be what I needed. I need a minute. I managed to say. I need a minute. I turned and walked down the hallway, through the living room, out onto our small balcony. The cool evening air hit my face, and I gripped the railing, staring out at the street below without seeing it. Behind me, through the glass door, I could sense Justin moving around inside. I didn't look. I couldn't look. One question kept repeating in my mind, drowning out all the others. Was this the man I loved, or someone I didn't recognize at all? I don't know how long I stood on that balcony. 5 minutes. 20 minutes. Time had lost its normal flow. I watched cars pass on the street below, watched neighbors walk their dogs, watched the ordinary world continuing as if everything hadn't just fundamentally shifted. Eventually, I heard the glass door slide open behind me. Soft footsteps. Then, Justin's voice, small and uncertain. Megan? I turned. He'd changed into regular clothes, sweatpants and a t-shirt. His face was blotchy, like he'd been crying. His eyes were red-rimmed and desperate. Can we talk? He asked. Please. I nodded and followed him back inside. We sat on opposite ends of the couch, a canyon of space between us that had never existed before. The silence stretched. I realized he was waiting for me to speak first, to ask questions, to guide this conversation. But I didn't know where to start. Every question felt too big or too small, too invasive or not invasive enough. Finally, I went with the simplest one, the one I'd asked in the bedroom. What were you doing, Justin? He took a shaky breath. I was being myself, or a part of myself, a part I've never shown you. The nightgown, I said, and even hearing myself say the word felt surreal. You were wearing a nightgown. Yes. Why? He rubbed his face with both hands, collecting himself. When he looked at me again, there was a resolve in his expression, like he'd decided something important. I've been cross-dressing since I was 15, he said quietly. Started with my sister's clothes when no one was home. At first, I told myself it was just curiosity, experimentation, something I'd grow out of. But I never did. It's always been part of who I am. The words hung in the air between us. Cross-dressing, 15 years old, always been part of who I am. I processed this slowly, turning it over in my mind like a rock with unexpected facets. And you never told me. In 5 years, you never told me. I was terrified. His voice broke slightly. Megan, I was terrified. I've spent my whole life hiding this. From my family, my friends, every girlfriend I've ever had. And with you, I never want to lose you. Hiding all this will actually hurt. But that also meant you were the person I had the most to lose. So you lied to me, I said, and I heard the hurt in my own voice. For 5 years. I didn't lie. You kept a fundamental part of yourself secret. You let me believe I knew you when I didn't. That's lying, Justin. He flinched, but didn't argue. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Does that make any sense? Then why tell me now? I asked. You didn't choose to tell me. I discovered it. If I hadn't come home early, would you ever have told me? His vulnerability in that moment was total. No defenses, no walls, just raw, honest truth. And I realized something important. I wasn't disgusted. I wasn't repulsed. I was hurt by the secrecy. The next morning, I woke exhausted. Justin had already left for work. Probably couldn't face me yet. I found a note on the kitchen counter. I'm sorry. I love you. We can talk whenever you're ready. I folded the note and put it in my pocket. At school, I moved through my classes on autopilot. During my free period, I sat in the teacher's lounge, staring at my untouched lunch. My mind kept returning to that image. Could I really do this? Could I build a future with someone who'd hidden something so fundamental? You okay, Megan? I looked up. Hannah, the art teacher, was watching me with concern. We'd become friends over the past year. She had this calm, accepting energy that made people feel safe opening up. And suddenly, I needed to talk to someone. Anyone. Can I ask you something? Hypothetical? I said carefully. Hannah sat down across from me. Of course. I chose my words carefully, keeping Justin's secret while seeking guidance. If someone you loved revealed something about themselves that completely surprised you, something they'd been hiding because they were afraid, how would you know if you could handle it? Hannah studied me for a moment. Is this about Justin? My silence was answer enough. She leaned forward. Megan, I don't know what he told you, but I've seen you two together. That man adores you. and you light up around him in a way you don't around anyone else. But what if it's too much? I whispered. What if I can't be what he needs? Can I tell you something? Hannah said gently. My partner came out as non-binary 3 years ago. I'd known them as him for a decade. It was disorienting. I had to relearn pronouns, navigate new social situations, examine my own assumptions about gender and identity. I looked at her in surprise. I'd never known. Those first few weeks, I almost left, Hannah continued. I was so scared of the unknown, scared of judgment, scared I wasn't strong enough. But then I realized something. They were the same person I'd fallen in love with. More authentic, maybe, more whole. And watching them become more fully themselves, it was actually beautiful. It wasn't easy, she added. We had hard conversations. I made mistakes, but we grew together. And our relationship is stronger now because it's built on complete honesty. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Whatever Justin shared with you, the question isn't whether you can handle it. The question is, do you love him enough to try? Because that's all he's asking for. The chance to be fully known by the person he loves most. I sat with those words for a long moment. Do you love him enough to try? Yes, the answer rose up from somewhere deep inside me. Yes, I did. Maybe this could be beautiful. Maybe this wasn't an ending, but a chance for us to know each other more completely, to build something stronger than the comfortable predictability we'd been living in. I pulled out my phone and texted Justin, "Come home after work. We need to talk. Really talk." His response came almost immediately. "Okay, thank you." I put my phone away, feeling something shift in my chest. Fear was still there, and uncertainty. But there was something else too. Curiosity, hope, and the determination to choose love over comfort. I got home before Justin that evening. I'd stopped and picked up Thai food, his favorite, and set it on the counter. Then I sat on the couch and waited, my heart racing. When I heard his key in the lock, every muscle in my body tensed. Justin walked in slowly, cautiously, like he was approaching something fragile that might shatter. His eyes found mine, and I saw everything written on his face. Fear, hope, resignation, desperation. He looked like he hadn't slept either. "Hi," he said softly. "Hi." He stayed by the door, maintaining distance, hands shoved in his pockets. "I got your text." "I know," I gestured to the couch. "Will you sit with me?" He crossed the room carefully and sat down, leaving space between us. The silence stretched, heavy with everything unsaid. I realized he was waiting for me to set the tone, to determine whether this conversation would end in goodbye or something else. He looked almost paralyzed, curiosity and terror fighting for dominance in his expression. He nodded slowly, his jaw tight. I could see him shutting down, preparing for the worst, his shoulders hunching inward like he was trying to make himself smaller. "I'm scared," I admitted. "I'm confused. I have 1,000 questions, and I don't understand everything yet." I watched his face begin to crumble, watched him start to withdraw further. "But," I continued firmly, "I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose us." He froze like he wasn't sure he'd heard correctly. "What?" "I see you, Justin," I said, my voice stronger now. "I see you, and I want to try. I want us to figure this out together." For a moment, he just stared at me, processing. Then his face crumpled completely, and he was deep in shock, probably bracing for the worst. Those words seemed to release years of tension, fear, and shame all at once. I moved closer, pulling him into my arms. He buried his face against my shoulder, his whole body trembling. We sat like that for a long time, holding each other, and I took his hands in mine. "We need complete honesty from here on out," I said. "No more hiding, no more secrets. If we're going to move forward, I need to know all of you, and you need to trust me enough to show me." We spent the rest of that evening talking. Really talking. About his history with crossdressing. About the shame and fear he'd carried. About what he needed going forward. About my feelings, my confusions, my need for time to adjust. We talked about practical things too. Which clothes of mine he'd been borrowing. Whether he wanted to build his own wardrobe. How we'd navigate this in our shared space. What we'd tell others, if anything. But we were honest. Finally, completely honest. And in that honesty, we found something stronger than what we'd had before. Don't forget to hit subscribe. At The Gender Diary, every new subscriber helps us share more powerful journeys of discovery and love. That was 6 months ago. Our relationship didn't end that night. It transformed. Justin cross-dresses openly at home now. Sometimes I'll come home and he'll be wearing a skirt while making dinner. Sometimes he'll ask my opinion on a new dress he's considering buying. It's become part of our normal, though I'd be lying if I said I never have moments of adjustment. Hannah was right. Watching Justin become more fully himself has been beautiful. Hard sometimes, but beautiful. But I keep coming back to this. Relationships aren't tested by perfection. They're tested by honesty and how we respond to that honesty. Sometimes the people we love reveal truths we never expected. Sometimes they show us parts of themselves that don't fit our mental image of who they are. And in those moments, we have a choice. We can reject what doesn't fit. We can demand they reshape themselves to match our expectations. We can walk away from the discomfort of the unknown. Or we can lean in. We can choose curiosity over judgment. We can ask questions and listen to answers. We can let our understanding expand to include more of who they actually are. I caught my boyfriend in a lace nightgown. But what I really discovered was his courage to show me who he truly was, and my own capacity to love him fully. If you've ever had a moment that tested your acceptance of someone you loved, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. How did you navigate it? What did you learn about love, about yourself, about the person who trusted you with their truth? Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. If this story touched you, please subscribe. Every subscriber helps us share more stories of love and acceptance with people who need them most. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, or if you're comfortable, your own experiences with unexpected moments of truth in relationships. See you in the next video. The end.
The Gender Diary exists to light that path with shared stories. Whether you found connection in this narrative, you're on your own journey of gender exploration, or you're here seeking understanding, your subscription fuels our mission. Every subscriber empowers us to keep illuminating these authentic experiences for our community. Kindly drop a comment below. Your voice adds to the tapestry of experiences that makes this space meaningful. Until our next story unfolds.